with, let's say, attrition of about 130% per annum, let's say, at the frontline level, which means about 13,000 people, correct? So there was a point as to how long will you keep doing this, correct? So let's say you had the business HR people across the country, about 200 of them. They were doing it day in and day out, correct? And then if you want to ask about their engagement, they'll say, no, you're talking about philosophy, but what we end up doing every day is just to recruit, correct? And that is why I think we had no choice but to transition, to look for a provider. And that time, in fact, if you remember in 2009-10, the shared services concept really came up a little, more vehemently, yeah? And then I said, I have no choice, but I have to actually latch on to this kind of opportunity which is provided now. Again, keeping, my future in mind. And that is helping us. I'm talking in 2015 now, what we decided in 2010-11.
Questions from the audience? You can raise your hand. We'll get the mic across to you.
So we know the first question takes time always in the conferences, but then of course it keeps coming. Yeah, I can see that hand going up from Pankaj.
Thank you. So I said in the morning that if no one will ask, I'll keep asking because I have a lot of questions to ask. So the question from all of you and Raj specifically, if you can answer. In shared services, there is one subject which has been neglected the most, and that is the recruitment shared services. So, of late in India, there are examples where picked up recruitment as a shared services example. What is your opinion that why recruitment shared services lag behind as compared to the rest of shared services? So, payroll, employee life cycle activities, people picked up, but recruitment was the last, or many a times it got left behind. Globally, though, that's the most picked number. Right now, I have seen action in last 2 years where large RPO contracts are coming out and they're saying, okay, we'll bundle the processing. So any views on that why recruitment got left out and why is suddenly picking up so much now? Means why there is a rush. So would love to hear from any of you.
I can answer from the perspective of HDFC Life, but of course generally as well, if you ask me, we worry a lot. We get afraid of the situation. In fact, I just explained, correct? I'm in JFM, which is January, February, March, and insurance is, believed to be having seasonality, so far as these months are concerned. Now, as an HR, it's my, in fact, accountability to provide people, even if it is, the entire organization's responsibility, correct? Because in terms of attention. But if I don't provide, I was saying that, correct? And people put value to it. Let's say, yesterday in the business review that we were going through at 9:30 in the night, one of the channels, came and said, one of the equations, saying that I'm driving 90% output with about 75% manpower. Now, it was a nice way of saying, but it's actually a blame to an HR saying that, you're not given me 25%, I would have produced another 20 crores more. I think my personal view that HR folks get worried about this, saying that if I, leave this activity to somebody else, we will not be able to achieve, and then ultimately, you will get blamed, and of course, your performance will be at stake. And I guess if you ask me, I'm very upfront in saying, most of us, though we know everything from the podium, we can actually speak a lot, but moment it comes to our own performance, we shirk, the kind of views and get, let's say, pushed by the system, correct? And that is why people are not, they were not, kind of dared to actually get into that. It was easy to actually then, let's say, outsource payroll or compliance, correct? That's not the, kind of day-to-day living stuff, my view. Anything?
Yeah. I'll probably just add on, but before I add on to the perspective, I'll just very briefly touch upon what do we do in Vodafone Shared Services, specifically in HR and in HR in terms of recruitment here. So HR Shared Services, we've got a team of about 176 FTEs working on that, and out of 176 FTEs, 36 FTEs are dedicated towards recruitment. And recruitment in India would comprise of activities like sourcing and screening, organizing campus interviews, generating offer letters and letters of intent, onboarding and background screening. So this is the scope of activities within recruitment shared services. I'll talk very, very briefly in terms of, what our experiences have been in recruitment, some of the challenges which we faced. Earlier we had, the entire scope and accountability of recruitment was with HR as a retained function. So these 36 odd resources were earlier a part of my team in HR. So they used to do all these activities which we've done here. So as a part of moving into the 3-box model, which I'm sure you'd be familiar with, it's the traditional Dave Ulrich's model, where you have centers of excellence, HR business partners, and HR shared services. So we decided all business as usual transactional activities, administrative activities would fall under the ambit of HR shared services, recruitment being one of them. We also have L&D administration and a host of other activities which I'll cover in my presentation. But our own experience, initially there was a lot of resistance around this. The first resistance which we faced was within the entire HR team, within my own talent acquisition team. They said, see, we are outsourcing a piece of our job to HR shared services. There is going to be no reporting line. And interestingly, HR shared services for us is run as a business line. It's not it has no reporting to me here. So one, of course, was the fear of accountability and supervision going there. So we were their customers. They were accountable to us for delivery and SLAs, but not in a formal reporting relationship. So this was one apprehension and fear. Second is, there's also the feeling that, do we really have a model which will be scalable? We are hiring about 3,000 people year on year, and 3,000 is largely new hires for new roles which are coming our way. Our attrition is, on the very pleasant side. We are only about 16% annualized, and 16% for 10,000 FTEs. Of course, we've got spikes in certain business lines. Customer operations, we do have a 47 or to 48% annualized attrition. But in our technology vertical, which is the largest vertical, we've got an attrition of about 11% annualized. So by and large, overall, across our business line, it averages out to roughly 16 to 17% annually. So when I'm talking about 3,000, it's new roles. It's a scalability of our entire HR shared services recruitment model. I think this is one of the key big challenges, and we need to get the model right. So what we've now done is we moved into a RPO-based model. Slightly expensive in the short term, but the advantage is you can scale up and you can scale down depending on the needs of your business, very, very rapidly. Rather than, for me, adding full-time equivalents, and after 3 years down the line, when we've reached our peak, then telling them, I really need to find roles and redeploy you somewhere. I can give a 1 or a 2 month notice to an RPO and tell them, fine, I don't need you anymore. So I think this is one model which is working very well for us. And earlier, we have seen our dependency on the RPO. RPOs used to give us only about 1% to 2%. They currently, in terms of our sourcing to select ratio, comprises of almost about 32% today. So 32% of our hiring comes through RPOs.
Any other questions from the audience? Okay, just one last question. We were talking about transitioning, and one of the things that our customers look for is that do whatever you have to do, keep it simple. We want, in the earlier model, it used to be that you had the generalist, that's my one window to go to. Now you're telling me that I have a shared service, I have the generalist doing something, who do I go to? So how would you handle that?
But I guess, I mentioned that in my slide. It's not about, let's say, moving next day to, let's say, the provider's window. So far as the internal customer is concerned, you still play a role of, let's say, a bridge, correct? As I mentioned, otherwise it would be a recipe of failure. That if you ask the line to go to shared service window to get the recruitment done, I think you have to still play a catalyst role and let them not feel that change. Well, of course, you explained the shared need for change in terms of, let's say, scalability, future requirements and stuff like that. But they still have to have that comfort and that, while this change will happen, but we will not suffer in terms of our day-to-day requirements. So HR will play a catalyst role, the business HR, and they will not, say to us that now we are throwing, let's say our problems on providers' wall. If that confidence, if they get right from, let's say, executive committee, and it's not at the ground level, it has to be first, get convinced that CEO, the CDO, and stuff like that. If they believe that your entire concept is going to be, though there will be teething issues, but it will be seamless, correct? Then they'll actually repose that confidence again in you and say that, okay, let's go ahead, because I think future is very, very important as well. So I think it's both performance and the health of the organization. If you are able to convince that concept to the, the executive council, I think they allow you to do that. And of course, you have to actually do it. And that's why those process orientation, methodical way of doing it is very, very important.
Yeah, building credibility in the process is critical. Yeah. So there will be time for some more questions towards the end of the presentation. So I think we'll move on to the next presentation. And the next presentation is by Mr. Rajendra Ghag, who is the Senior Executive Vice President and, sorry, I'm so sorry. Ramesh, my mistake. Ramesh is now he's the Vice President HR at Schneider. Schneider, those of you who are familiar with their journey, has been through a tremendous rate of acquisition. It is very often is that by the time you have worked out which company, you are integrating one company, they've acquired another company. And this has happened worldwide and also in India. So Ramesh today is responsible, as I said, that he operates out of Bangalore and he's the Vice President for HR Services. HR Services, Schneider is a different model from what we heard in the earlier presentation. They are across geographies and they're across different businesses, the different businesses that have been acquired by Schneider. So he will take you through the journey that they've been through in integrating and extending the shared services model. Also in terms of expertise, as I said, that we have case studies of 3 companies and also 3 experts. So Ramesh comes to you with about 29 years of experience and a lot of it in shared services.
Thank you for the nice words of introduction. Pankaj, thank you once again, even at the cost of risking repetition, for inviting me for the 3rd time. And it's really a privilege for me to be associated with this great initiative from NHRD of trying to popularize and share what HR Shared Service is all about for the 3rd time around. Thank you. And again, good afternoon to all of you all. It's a great pleasure for me to be here to share something about what is it that we at Schneider have experienced in this wonderful journey of HR transformation. Personally, as he rightly said, I've got 29 years of experience. I've largely been an HR generalist. But in my last assignment, when my manager said, why don't you take up the responsibility of setting up a shared services for Schneider in India, the initial response was no. I said, oh my God, no way, I'm going to move from an HRBP, from a global HRBP role to an operational role. But then after a lot of goading, I did agree to set this up, and I can tell you it has been a wonderful journey. Of course, roller coaster ride, but certainly an experience worth going through in some part of your career. So I will share with you something about what Schneider Electric is all about, because I think it's important. Many people still think, do not know how to even pronounce Schneider. People think it's Schneider, it is Sachinder, it is Schindler, but we are much more than that. Actually, Schneider is not a lift company, okay? Popularly, most people think, oh, I just came through your lift. I said, I'm sorry, we are not a lift company. We are a global specialist in energy management. We are a French-based multinational, which is about 150 years of existence in this planet. And we operate in about almost 190 countries with 175,000 employees, 25 billion plus euros of revenue. People ask you, then what is it that you do? We are actually helping from smart devices through big data. We provide customers with services, systems, and technology. Basically, we are not into energy production. nor are we in the business of appliances or energy usage or energy consumption. We help the producer and the consumer to effectively manage the electricity in terms of making energy safe, reliable, efficient, productive and green. And you may say, is this worth 25 billion euros? Yes, I can tell you we still are able to generate that much and even much more. In terms of products, right from a switch to your wiring devices, your network management systems, to your transformers, control panels, switch gears, transformers, uninterrupted power solutions, cooling solutions, you name it, we are there, and we are also the world's top 3 industrial automation company also. We have been in India for the last 50 years, and as Sanjay was saying, we actually grew in the last 6 years. The aggressive growth came largely through acquisitions, and in fact, we have acquired 8 companies in a span of 2 years. Believe me, we have acquired companies from a size as 50 people to companies as large as 3,500 people, companies as small as 150 people to 2,500 people, all in a span of 2 years. And in fact, 10 companies in a span of 4 years. And this was in the last 4 years. So you can understand the challenges that HR has faced in terms of trying to integrate these various companies into the organization. We have about 22,000 people in this country, almost about 1,500 people in the R&D space, 31 factories. We also support globally in terms of having a global technology center, an captive IT organization, a large manufacturing base, and a sales organization. Why I'm sharing this is, it adds to the complexity. Managing HR, say, for a manufacturing organization is different, so from providing support to a sales organization or to an IT organization or to an R&D organization, and therefore the complexity for HR becomes even more. And compounded with that, the complexity of having acquired companies, 10 companies in the last 4 years, adds to the complexity, and therefore the need for shared services arises. So it is in this context, as much as I said that Schneider lacked an identity in the market, Schneider also lacked identity within the organization. So people said, what exactly is the Schneider culture? Just as you say the IBM way, the GE way, we were trying to reflect and introspect to find out what exactly is the Schneider culture of about 6 years back, and we realized we don't have one. Because we are a company which is a conglomeration of different companies which we acquired over a span of time. Maybe if in India we acquired 10 companies, worldwide Schneider acquired about 40 companies in the last 6 years. So it was a company which grew through acquisitions with multiple cultures coming in, and therefore we realized that we need to have